Hello, my friends. Today, the topic I was thinking about was clarity, and how clarity is almost like a gift to someone who is on the path of ascension and who's in a path of finding themselves, and how clarity can also be hell or punishment for the ones who are actually corrupt in their hearts. And I was pondering on it because it's something that affected me personally, professionally, as well as in my family or friend dynamics. So let's just start by describing what clarity is. Clarity can have different contexts and different meanings, depends on who you are, where you are, and what kind of situation you're faced with. Clarity can look like something that you weren't aware of at all, or it could be something that was nudging at you for a while, and then eventually you see what the truth was. In my personal opinion, and I know for this fact that clarity has been something that's been marginalized by those in power, especially the ones who are corrupt in their hearts and their soul. Clarity has been purposely hidden. People are made to be confused. So corruption, people who corrupt others or situations, they love to confuse people. They love to create panic and confusion. And that's how they thrive, because if they were able to be real and actually give clarity to other people, of course, their whole empire will collapse. Because internally people know I'm someone who feel like no one is oblivious to clarity, at least not to 100%. Some people might know 10% of clarity, at least in their hearts. Even though they might not recognize it or have acknowledged it within themselves. But I don't believe that you are so oblivious of truth and facts that you have no clue about it. So let's just get out of their way. People are born with beautiful intuition. It's a gift. And I believe that this gift should be used a lot more. But that's another topic. So guys, how is clarity a source of gift and a source of healing to those who are on a path of self-knowledge, of understanding themselves, their path in this world, or anything like that, who are at least truthful in their hearts, if they don't proclaim it to other people or to the world? I don't care. But at least within themselves, they want to adhere to the truth. They want to find the truth for themselves. So why is clarity such a blessing, such a gift, and such a sign of healing for them? The fact is that clarity opens up different parts at times that we weren't privy of, or we weren't made aware of by the society, by the governments, or by the conditioning, all the intergenerational traumas or the generational coding that is within our DNA. And folks, it's really, epigenetics is another topic, which I don't want to delve into too much, but basically epigenetics is, it's a scientific fact. People who, or society or culture as a whole, that has been, or even as an individual, if your ancestor went through immense trauma where they were really broken spiritually, physically, or mentally, that, my friend, is then passed on to us, unfortunately. So yeah, it's a sad reality. We are I like to think we are born with a clean slate, but it's not the fact. Epigenetics do play like a big role in forming who we are, even if you have been adopted, for example. Just giving you an example, and you have no awareness of where you're from. I'm just giving you an example. But because of epigenetics, you will have those tendencies in yourself, in a personality, in your soul, a fragment within yourself that is affected by the generational trauma or generational foresight or generational, abuse that your ancestors went through. And that is real. So let's get that out of the way, because clarity is of utmost importance, not just for someone who's seeking the right path, but also to everyone who is seeking some kind of meaning in their lives. It doesn't have to be deeply spiritual. Like I'm aware a lot of people, some people, I'm not sure, but some people are not that concerned with spirituality, and that's absolutely fine. They are more concerned with the 3D. Like I said, we're all on our journeys. But yeah, epigenetics is one of those things that unfortunately affects us all. I would like to say I wish it didn't, because personally I feel it's not fair. Why should I have to deal with what my ancestors went through? But maybe they went through famine. Maybe they went through colonial oppression or even tribal oppression. And then that got passed on to me or my siblings or, to my parents then, who then passed it on to me. So yeah, clarity means that you are able to not only peel away the layers of conditioning, the layers of effects from the epigenetics, the vast expectations from since you're born, from when you go to school, then on to have relationships, making friends, and within your family. So when any amount of clarity hits you, sure, even as a person who has an open mind and who like to understand who I am in this world, in this dimension and other dimensions, hopefully, it sometimes hits you. It hits you hard because all this life you have been operating on a flight and flight mode because of different things that I've already spoken to you about. So the initial response to clarity, sometimes even to a person who is on a spiritual or a higher path, is a lot of sadness, a lot of disbelief, a lot of confusion, and a lot of disgust at times at yourself. Sometimes towards how you've let yourself down because of outdated beliefs, other reasons, like in the beginning of my video, like I described, and it hits you. And that is the point when you feel like something shattered within yourself. And that is when clarity is able to get inside of you, in your heart, in your soul, in your mind. It's like, it's a beautiful saying of Rumi, who says that keep breaking your heart until you, the light can go through you and your heart, and the truth gets through to you. So it's like that. So when we get clarity, at times it is really painful. It's deeply unsettling for us to think that this is how I have been operating, this is how I have been treating other people or anything. And we are all on our journeys, but we got to look at clarity in that way, that it's not easy sometimes. It's really painful. Sometimes it takes us weeks, months, or even years. Some things are so traumatic that it takes you a long time to see the pattern and then actually take action on it. So my friends, when I say to a person who has a pure heart, at least a pure heart, if even outwardly they don't proclaim it, but if you are on a quest towards the truth and towards understanding who you are, clarity hits you like a like a brick, like sometimes. It's not an easy process. But once you work through your feelings, the patterns that you've subjected yourself to all these years, how you've operated, how your thought patterns have ruined some beautiful possibilities in your life. Once you let that settle and then start slowly taking action, then, my friend, you know that that clarity has made you a better person, has made you a better human being that have their heart chakras open. You know, it's really important to not let our experiences from this world, from the people around us, from all the unjust things that has been done to us, or even the unjust things that we've done to ourselves. Because if we have a mindset that says, hey, you're not that worth it, you're not going to be able to do it, or oh, you can try, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to get it. A lot of the times it's us who's the biggest block in our own evolution or ascension. So when clarity comes in, most likely than not, the spiritually ascended person will, after, of course, it gets settled, you given it a time to grieve and process those emotions where, yes, you were upset that you couldn't see the truth all these years, despite it being clearly in front of your eyes, in front of your face. After that processing has been done, when you operate in clarity or with clarity, you unlock a higher dimension. You unlock a higher ascension. You unlock ways of becoming that is so profound that you literally see the shift in reality. And it's a fact. You can't deny it. I felt it a few times when clarity hit me, and I've let it process in me for whatever time that I could. And then based off of that, I've made changes. It changes your life. It does. First, it will change who you are as a person. And that's the hardest thing to change, because you have formed an identity for so many years. But after that clarity's hit you, you've, sat with it for a while, you then start changing things, and it does change your life, and for the better, always for the better. I have never seen anyone, or even within myself, I have never had clarity that was a source of what downward shift within my reality. Never. Even in terms of 3D, you do get a lot more abundance when you get clarity, and when you actually process it and actually when you let the clarity change you from within yourself, your 3D changes. So yes, clarity for a person who is on spiritual ascension, or at least a person who is wanting some kind of truth, for them, clarity is a gift. It always serves them in so many ways. It's so beautiful. Sometimes it makes you want to just break down crying, just happy tears of knowing who you are now with that clarity, and where you've come from, and what obstacles you've had to walk through in order to bring that clarity as part of you and work. And it has to then be part of you. And then when you operate from your authenticity, when you operate from that light, then there is no way you're going to keep attracting lower vibrational situations, friends, family, or jobs, or any businesses, or any avenues in the world. And that has, it has a physical basis, like I said. We are all divine beings. Vibrations, good and bad, negative vibrations are real. When we are operating through that clarity and it brings in light for us, then we have already ascended. And that's the beautiful message. When you have been honest with yourself and the clarity that you've gained from your experiences, or even just reading an article or listening to a video like you might be doing right now, and some of the things in your life might be changing slowly, and it might be shifting your mind this for the better. This might be the clarity that you're going through, because we are all on an evolutionary path. So yeah, for a person with a good heart, or at least who aim to keep their heart and their soul pure, clarity is a gift. It's a divine gift, to the point that, you know, it's not just one aspect of you that changes after you get that clarity. It's all aspects of your life, not only spiritually and your heart chakras and your sacral chakras and other chakras, and your relationships and how you think of opportunities. It changes, but it also changes your own outlook of who you are, and that's the most beautiful thing. It's a snowball effect. But my friends, you have to you have to sit with that clarity. When it hits you, don't dismiss it. Don't say, oh, it's another mambo jambo, just a new age thing. Everyone's on it. Like, I don't need to look at it. Why not? If it's resonating with you, if something, a concept or an idea is really sitting with you and it's making you think, and your mind keeps going there, listen to it. You know, your body and your mind and your soul is really intuitive. It will, at least when you're grounded, not when you're not grounded, you're not going to be attracted to good things or positive things, at least for a long for your long term. The goodness that you might get for your long term, you might not be attracted to it because you're not grounded, you're not on the right frequency. But like I said, even if you are a little bit inclined towards, you know, listening to your nudges, and actually you are grounded or try to be grounded, you might get those nudges, my friends. And I tell you, this is why you're here watching my video, because I'm just another human being living this beautiful experience of life in this 3D and other interdimensional worlds that, you know, sometimes we can't see and we dismiss it. But yeah, so keep honoring that clarity, you know. Whenever you are hit with the truth or with the clarity, honor it. Maybe do a reflection on it. Generally, what I tend to do is I journal it. It can be like one line, seriously. I might just quickly write the date and the idea that I just got hit with while I was driving, or while I was just having my coffee, or while I was having a shower. It hits you sometimes. It's the most random place and the most random time. Sometimes it's really weird. You might be having a conversation, like an in-depth conversation with a friend or a family member or a colleague, and sometimes this clarity hits you. Sometimes it's pleasant. You're like, oh yeah, I should have, thought about that before. But sometimes it is not pleasant, my friends. It is really hard. It's painful, because sometimes you don't want to see the shadow side of you, the shadow that you have tried so hard to repress, the shadows that your society told you that's not right. Nah, you shouldn't be having those feelings or thoughts. So let that clarity, let that truth sit with you. I don't care if your shadow hates it. No, bring it out. Tell your shadow, come on, dude, let's go. Let's do this, Sit down, cry, do journaling, go for walks, do meditation, sit down, ground yourself, do prayers. If you're religious, pray on it, meditate on it. There's heaps of other ways that you can sit with that clarity. And then afterwards, when you have processed it and integrated it within yourself, my friends, then your life will change. And it is already changing. And you can feel that shift within yourself already. That's why you're here. That's why you're watching this video. After 19 minutes, you're still here. But now let's talk about how is clarity seen by someone who is corrupt, who intentionally or unintentionally, I hope it's neither or, who is not aligned with themselves, who is corrupt in their hearts and soul, who is negative all the times, or even certain parts of themselves. When such people are confronted with clarity or the truth, my friends, they hate it. They hate it. They hate you for it. If you bring that clarity to them, they will hate you. I'll tell you that much. So I'm on a journey where I have, in the past at least, I try not to do that now, but in the past I have kind of, not harshly, I never try to look at it in that way, because even previously I always thought everyone's on their journey. But in the past, whenever I have dropped those hints, or I have mentioned something in front of other people, something that is the opposite of who they are, that really irked them. That really made them go after me as a person, form of reputation, and yeah, trying to villainize me, trying to, get me ganged up. It didn't work, of course, because I was on my path. I wasn't paying attention to them. I did see what they were doing, but I walked through it like it wasn't even anything to me, because I realized they are on a path. Yeah, they're misled, but to me, yes, maybe they don't even think they're being misled by their own standards. So in the past, when I did bring things of truth or clarity in front of other people, especially to those who have a closed heart, have a closed spirit, and they don't have any connection to their spirit, especially, those people were really triggered. And triggered is the word I was searching for. So friends, you will always trigger people who are not aligned with you when you speak of your own clarity. And my friend, I want to urge you to keep doing that. We are in an age of Aquarius, which means we have been for now, or a few decades now. But yeah, age of Aquarius is a great awakening. On your own path of awakening, if you manage to make a few enemies of those people who you never even were meant to resonate with anyway, but they hate you now, so be it, my friends. Make no mistake, they were gonna hate you anyway. They were gonna hate you for the light that you brought. They were gonna hate you no matter if you were licking their boots. They were still gonna hate you. So don't do that. Act in your authenticity. Speak your truth. Work and honor your clarity. And yeah, so in the past I would say things and that would trigger a lot of people, and they would I had to cop a few consequences that I wasn't ready for, honestly. Like, I knew that they were not in alignment with me or my path. It doesn't bother me. Those people don't bother me, like I said. But for the fact that they went out of their way to actually make my life difficult, that proved that I was doing something right. So keep working and talking in your clarity. So now what I do is if I see someone who is so far removed from the truth, I generally tend to not waste my energy and my time on it. I have evolved to a point where I've realized that clarity is hell. Clarity is a source of punishment. Clarity is obscene. Clarity is detrimental. Clarity is like a personal attack on their egos and on who they are. This is what clarity is for the people who have their hearts and their spirit closely shut. They've shut it down. They've sealed it, with their hate, with their ego, the conditioning. I don't care. I don't want to delve into their psyche. like I said, they're on their own journeys, and I really hope one day they actually, sit down and become better people, and just sit down, sit with the truth, sit with what they've done, and really honor that truth, but become a better person. So my friends, clarity is a gift. It's an absolute wonder of our lives, because this is how I have managed to change my life around, change my beliefs, change who I was, and change into someone who is a lot more respectful, a lot more responsible, a lot more capable within my own self, because I honor more, like, I'm not perfect, but I try my best to honor that clarity within myself, because that is a source of life for me. That is a resuscitation of my soul at times that feels so drained by the negativity of other people, the world around me. But when you get hit by clarity, it's like a life force that, the divine sent to you to say, hey, you know what? You're doing so great. Here's something or more I've given you to work with. Make it part of yourself. Work with it. Act from that new clarity that you've found within yourself. And the whole world will change. And, people who are deliberately trying to go after other people just because that's who they are, for them, clarity is a death sentence at times. And I don't like using those words, but a death sentence is what I have felt for a few of those people whose auras and whose souls are so much, they have so much hate and contempt and discrimination and just sheer hate in them for themselves, because no one who absolutely love themselves with light and actual love, no one can hate other person. At least that's my understanding of it. Excuse me. So clarity is a beautiful gift for us. Treasure it, work with it, let it transform you, let it change you. It is a gift. So start taking it seriously. Sometimes I'm guilty of that I've gotten some clarity and I didn't really pay attention to it until the divine was like, you know what, you're not listening, are you? Okay, I'm going to send you these people. I'm going to send you these situations that's going to force you to sit down and acknowledge that clarity about yourself. How about that? And my friends, I have learned the hard way to acknowledge that clarity as a gift. At times it was hard because I was being stubborn. I was like, no, I know better. It's not going to serve me. Everyone's going to hate me. It never works for anyone. And no, I wasn't honoring myself. I was actually putting my own self down, and that hurt me the most. Because I didn't listen to myself when I did have the clarity, and when I had the chance to act on it, I didn't. And afterwards, I kicked myself. And that afterwards is going to take you it took me much longer to make amends with, rather than if I actually, when I got that clarity and if I sat with it and worked with it, and I became the person that I am now, if I did that, it would have been so much easier. But yeah, like I said, sometimes you gotta learn the hard way. Sometimes we just sometimes stubborn beings, but that's okay. That's a learning curve. That was a learning curve for me. But for someone who is so completely removed with themselves, with their intuition, with their heart and their soul and their journey, and where they are in their journey, for those people, clarity is hell, is punishment, because those people, the way they operate is they love confusion. They love if you notice, Toxic people, family members around you, they thrive. They thrive in confusion. They thrive in the blame game, the who went this and I didn't do this. And you can pick up toxicity and toxic people, or at least people who don't vibe with you. Okay, it doesn't have to be massively toxic or, you know, evil. I'm not saying that. But when I say toxic, generally, I mean someone who does not vibe with me at all by any metric. So those people, they love confusion. They love it, you know, when you can't figure out what's happening around you, because they've created systems, relationships, situationships that is going to keep you stuck. They love it. That's why they hate clarity. For them, it's a death sentence, because the minute you're like, okay, I know your game. I'm not playing it. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to either intensify their efforts to derail you, and they're going to push you even harder because now you're onto the game. Or if they're wise, they're just going to say, you know what, I'm done here. She or he, depending on who your gender is or who you identify as, they are not buying it. They've got the clarity. They're not buying it. So they're going to, if they're smart, they're going to exit. But if they're really after you, they're going to keep pushing you until you do something about it. And then a lot of the times they just cry about it. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so friends, start taking those clarity, the situations, the thoughts, revelations that you just sometimes just get like that while just sitting doing your work, or, you know, while you're meditating, while you're journaling, while you're having a shower, while you're driving to work or anywhere. You get those nudges. Write it down on a piece of paper, and then process it. Just sit with it and see where it takes you. I promise you, it's going to lead you to a lot more abundance, a lot more success, a lot more spiritual ascension, and a lot more love and light in your own world. I don't care how the world is being operated right now. This is not the video for that. But when you find that change and you change yourself from here, the whole world starts to change. So my friends, take this gift seriously. And if you're like me, or who is on, or at least trying to understand, and you are on a journey towards truth, honor the gift of clarity. With that, my friends, until I see you, goodbye.